1 day left, and Donald Trump making a final push to secure victory in what has become one of the most important battleground states in the United States, and we're talking about little New Hampshire.
Whoever wins New Hampshire is going to win. We're going to win the great state of New Hampshire, and we are going to win back the White House.
Well, right now, the latest Real Clear Politics average has Donald Trump ahead nearly 2 points in New Hampshire. But just 2 weeks ago, Hillary Clinton was ahead by 8 points.
So where does the Granite State stand right now? Here to weigh in, New Hampshire gubernatorial candidate Chris Sununu. Chris, welcome to the show. I know you're biting your nails. I know your dad certainly is. What's going on the ground in your state? Because the biggest, most powerful political power players on both sides are focusing on you guys.
Well, New Hampshire always comes into play, doesn't it? You know, there's a lot of energy here. Our Secretary of State recently announced he's expecting a record turnout on both sides of the ticket. So there's a lot of momentum, as you guys mentioned. The polls are very strong for not just Mr. Trump, but myself, Senator Ayotte, really swinging. So we're hitting this peak right at the right time.
Okay. Why are those 4 electoral college votes so important in your state?
Well, you got to get to 270, and we are typically a purple state. We really are. People really want to know the candidate. It isn't all just one straight ticket or the other. They want to get to know the candidates up and down. As you know, we have one of the largest representative bodies in the world, essentially a giant volunteer government. People are involved. They're engaged. And again, you know, for the most part, we wait till pretty much the last minute to make up our minds. And what you're seeing this week is people really coming around, understanding that they want to change, not just in the state, but in this country. And they're going to cast their votes on Tuesday. I think we're going to be very excited with the outcomes.
Sure. People want change all across the country. What are the main issues in New Hampshire?
You know, the big issues, I think, in New Hampshire are very similar to the rest of the country. We have a big health care problem. Obamacare has failed. We know that. You know, my opponent wants to make it permanent and all that, and even Bill Clinton finally came around and said it was a crazy program. We have a heroin crisis in the state that is really out of control. And unfortunately, the results just aren't getting better. We've lost 1,000 people in our small state in the last 2 years. That's 1,000 families torn apart. We need to have some real action, whether it's aggressive prevention in schools, making sure that the police know that we have their backs on the front lines. And then obviously just driving a better education system. You know, we cherish our local control here in New Hampshire very much, and so restoring local control to our schools, to parents, that's vital to folks, because that way they can have the real impact on what's happening with their families.
Chris, has Donald Trump helped or hurt you in your quest to be governor?
You know, in New Hampshire, I don't think he's helped or hurt. I really don't. In New Hampshire, everyone is so involved in their communities. They're so involved in these elections. I don't think it's not a straight ticket. What happens at the federal level in the presidential races is very different. It's a very different message, a very different way of campaigning and style of campaigning. We've tried to stay positive. We've tried to focus on the issues. You know, our opponents like to take the personal attacks. They spend 90% of the time hitting my family or hitting personal issues. I mean, my opponent actually put a picture of my mom in an attack ad. You know, that type of stuff really it really says more about the character of my opponent. It's not the character of New Hampshire. It's not the way we do things
Chris,
here. So
let's talk about the character of the folks there in New Hampshire. Are you worried about voter fraud? Because there's some rumors that Democrats are busing in voters from Massachusetts.
You know, I wouldn't use the word fraud. I don't believe in a rigged system, but we have a very flexible system. There's a lot of gray area here. It's kind of ripe for abuse, and we've had instances where multiple campaign staffers, per se, will sign up from and claim residence at one address, and then they go vote, and then they're out of the state. We call it drive-by voting. The law technically allows for it, and even our Democrat Secretary of State says we probably need a residence requirement, we need a change, and for a state that is the first in the nation primary, it's a big responsibility to get it right.
Well, I've heard of drive-by media. Now I've got drive-by voting.
Granite State poll just came out. It shows Donald Trump trailing by 11. Man, that's an outlier. You saw that?
Yeah, look, I don't want to pick on pollsters, but the polls all this week were consistently up for all the Republicans across the ticket. The outlier we saw this morning is a traditional outlier. For goodness sakes, they're worse than PPP in terms of being a left-wing poll. So, you know, we don't really focus on polls because, like I said, everyone makes up their mind in the last few days here, and the energy is incredible. I've been out with Senator Ayotte yesterday. We're on the campaign trail at multiple stops, and let me tell you, the response was overwhelming, and it was clear that this state's ready to make a change.
All right. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
Chris
you,
running
guys.
for governor. His dad was governor, and we said yesterday, I wonder if that's ever happened before. Well, I got some emails. Yes, here in the state of New York, I should have known
All
that.
over the place.
With Andrew and Mario Cuomo.
All
and
right.
you said New Jersey at one point.
All sorts of instances of that. All right, Mr. Sununu, thank you. Good luck to you.